two Super Tuscans. And then we're following them the next course with two Brunellos. And of course, you could argue that Brunellos were the first of the Super Tuscans. The major difference being that with Brunello, we work entirely with the traditional grape of Tuscany, which is Sangiovese. And with the Super Tuscans, which are what we have before us, we use Sangiovese in symphony with other varieties. So this is going to be a very interesting little shootout. You know, Super Tuscans are the new boys on the block. Brunellos date back to 1888. And it'll be interesting, I think, and I hope for you as well, to see how they stack up against one another. Although I hate to have those kinds of comparisons made because I prefer to enjoy each wine on its own merits. But it'll be interesting to do this. I've never done this before. I've never done Brunellos versus Super Tuscans at the same evening. So I'll be interested in your comments later on. But let's address the two wines before us. We have the 2006 first wine. The wine will be on your right. The 2006 Camarcanda Chromie from Angelo Gaia. Now, when you came in here, I suspect you didn't ever expect to be seeing an Angelo Gaia wine, because he is, of course, the king of Barbaresco. But back in the late 1980s and early 1990s, he decided to expand his empire beyond his home turf up there in the hills of the Piemonte and went to Tuscany. This particular estate is in the Bulgari area. It is that part of Tuscany that's very near the sea, and it is a little cooler climate. And this is the first area where all the experimentation went on in Tuscany. This grape, this wine, probably has little, if any, Sangiovese in it. It is Cabernet Sauvignon, it is Merlot, it is Cabernet Franc, and it is Syrah. So he's being pretty daring with this particular combination of grapes. It's in Tuscany, so it is by definition a Tuscan wine, but it is nothing like what someone's grandfather's idea of a Tuscan wine is like. To me, it's a little closed right now, especially in the nose, but if you work with it, it'll kind of explode on your palate, I think. Lovely fruit. I think the first thing you get is that Cabernet, and then you hit the Syrah in the mid-palate. It's actually quite an exciting wine. I was quite taken with it when I tasted a few weeks ago. But it's a very big departure from the usual Tuscan, Super Tuscan. Yeah, that's good. The other thing about it is it's silken texture. Silken texture and great length. It's just wonderful wine. Now, the Tignanello is an old estate in Tuscany. Some people might argue that this was the first of the Super Tuscans, but it is, in fact, a Chianti. It is some from one estate, and it's owned by the Antononi family. I told you we were going to visit Antononi again. This is probably their best wine in many people's minds. Very classic. Look at that wonderful deep dark color that it has. It's just extraordinary. Sangiovese is rarely this dark, but this is saturated color. Classic in the nose. Fine structure, and yet the wine's pretty accessible. And it does not have the tough tannins that you might expect in a wine of this caliber. Yes, wonderful wine. So, memorize these wines because you're going to compare them in one more course with the Brunellos. And this is what Tuscany is all about. These are extraordinary wines. They show off wonderful fruit. They show off the earth. They have a wonderful spiciness to them. They have a faint, they remind me a little of Bordeaux. I know that's heresy to say that, but I'm a big Bordeaux person, and these wines always remind me of great Bordeaux, and I think they would not be embarrassed to be compared to the great Bordeaux of the world. So I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. Thank you.
Thank you.